So this week, in our special Christmas edition of our video minute, I asked you to consider, how do you react to the Savior's coming? I mean, every year we have this Christmas celebration, but do you ever take a few minutes to stop and think what it really means to you? What your reaction to God sending His Son as the Savior really is? Because you see, as we read those familiar words in Matthew and Luke about the Savior being born, we see several different reactions to Jesus' coming. You know, first you have Joseph, Jesus' earthly father, if you will, the one betrothed to Mary. He's very confused at first. He doesn't know what to think of the Savior being born. He doesn't know what to think of Mary's words to him about how the angel spoke to her. At first he's confused. He doesn't know what he should do. Are we often confused about our Savior? Do we let understanding everything about God get in the way of our faith? There's other ways people react in the story to the birth of the Savior. What about John the Baptist? And I'm talking about John the Baptist when he was still in the womb. How does he react? He reacts by leaping for joy in his mother's womb. John the Baptist, before he was even born, knew the words of the prophets that Jesus would come to be the Savior. He sensed Jesus' presence. Do we believe those words of truth from long ago? That Jesus is our joy, that Jesus is our Savior, that that's the reason He came? Do we celebrate this time with that sort of joy and peace of God that surpasses all understanding? What about the people that surrounded Mary and Joseph? How do you suppose they reacted to the Savior's coming? I would have to guess there was probably a lot of doubters, a lot of questions. Do we find ourselves doubting our faith at times? Perhaps, especially in this Christmas time when there's so much else going on, perhaps we doubt whether it's worth paying attention to this Savior in the mess of everything else in our lives. But you know, perhaps the most important reaction to the Savior, perhaps the one for us to reflect most on, is that of the Virgin herself, Mary. The best way to describe her reaction to all of this? Faithful. Mary was faithful. She was probably afraid. She was probably confused. She probably wasn't expecting what was about to happen to her, birthing the Savior Himself. But the fact of the matter is, when the angel tells Mary that she will give birth to Jesus the Savior, she responds by saying, "I am the Lord's servant." You see, it didn't matter to Mary that she might not understand. It didn't matter to Mary what others might think. She trusted in God, and that was good enough for her. Maybe Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 sums up best how we should react to our Savior this season. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding, for He will make your path straight. I hope this Christmas we all get a chance to reflect and react to the coming of our Savior. See you next year.